Hey y'all, I want to share my home buying story with you guys in hopes that maybe you can find some lessons in it and that maybe it encourages you to start where you are. So I'm going to try to keep this short because y'all know I'm long winded. Here we go. So I decided not long after college and not long after getting my first job, my first real job, that I wanted to buy a house. I was tired of renting. I was over it, didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I was maybe 23. Actually, I might have been 22. Now I think about it. And I was ready to go. Started the process of getting approved, and I everything that I did was through referral. So I had a friend that referred me to SunTrust and a lender there, and I had another friend that referred me to his agent. Cool. When I bought my first house, I was working a local government job, local, like for a city, not federal, not state. I was working a local government job, and I made, wait for it, $32,000 a year on paper. So I bought home 27,000 a year. So when people ask, like, I don't make enough money to buy a house, that's not true. You do make enough money to buy a house for most people. It's just what's your budget look like and what are your expectations? So I was single, no kids. I knew and was prepared to buy a starter home, a smaller little house or a little townhouse condo, something that I could just stay in and chill and fix up or whatever until I either got married or made more money and moved on to something else. I had set my expectations pretty realistically. Actually, I really started doing a lot of research about investing and buying a home when I was in college. Because I worked at a library, I used to read a bunch of investing books all the time when I was at the library. So I wanted to do it before I graduated college, but I was too scared. That's just the bottom line. I was scared. My mom was scared for me. She was worried. I didn't know anybody that had actually done it in college, and so I didn't want to try to go through the process. But later on in the years, I did start meeting people that were buying houses with their student loan refund checks. And I mean, there was all kinds of stuff going on. There's all kind of creative ways to buy houses, and I wish I had the guts to do it with a student loan refund check. It would have been, listen, I would have a bunch of properties by now, y'all. But anyway, I missed the opportunity. It's all good. There'll be others. So I was 22, 23 when I started the process, working my first full-time job. My student loans were still in deferral, so they calculated a zero payment for my student loans. Back then you could do that. And my interest rate was 5.5%. At that time in 2008, we had never seen 5.5% interest rates. That was the lowest at that time that we had seen. Now, as years went on, after the real estate market crashed, rates went lower. But when I bought, 5.5% was the lowest rate we ever seen. So for all of you guys that missed the 2s and the 3s, y'all really missed a treat. A 2 and 3% interest rate for 30 years, that's basically free money. That's free money. You'll never borrow money from somebody when you don't have to pay interest on it. So just let that go. But it's free money. So I borrowed 5.5%. I got an FHA plus loan. So FHA plus means you don't put any money down, right? So that's usually, there's all different kind of variations of this no money down loan, but usually it's not a 100% loan. Most of the 100% loans are VA loans. All the other ones are typically a 97 or 97.5%, and then a 3 or 3.5% smaller loan. You put those two together, they equal 100%. So I got a FHA plus where I didn't put out any money. I did have some money saved, but I knew I needed to keep that for moving, for, just getting settled, painting, things like that, which it did come in handy. So I'm actually glad that I used that type of loan. I also got a check back at closing because back then you could do that. Now you can't get checks back at closing. So this is just like stuff that was happening back in 2008. things are totally different now because the market crashed and everything went haywire, and then they got stricter and all this kind of stuff. So in 2008, when I bought, qualifying was a little less strict. The interest rates were in the fives, 5.5, give or take. You could qualify when your loans were in deferral, and they would use a zero payment amount for you. I was, again, 22, 23 years old. So I say all that to say, as long as you're 18, you can buy a house. If you have a job, it doesn't matter what your income is, as long as whatever mortgage payment you're able to afford, if we can find something within that price point, then you can find something within that price point. But know that you have to be realistic. So I was realistic. I was happy to get a little condo, little townhouse for myself. I was single, no kids. It wasn't a big thing to me. So that also made the process easier. I did drag my agent to 1 million houses because there were 1 million houses on the market. I feel so bad for him. I wanted to see every single house, and I started losing out on houses because I wouldn't settle on when I would go see a house and I really liked it, and I'd be like, but I really want to see this one first. But I really want to see the other one. And then I would see the other one, it wasn't that great, and I'd be like, oh, let's go back to this other one, where the other one's gone now. So now we got to start all over. So I in hindsight, I would have just been a little bit more decisive when I found something that I really liked and just went for it. So I found a condo, which I was kind of leaning towards because condos, I didn't want to have to cut grass and stuff like that, So in my mind, I was like, I just want to, after a long day's work, I want to come home, shut the door, be good. That's condo living. But two things. Number one, the condo that I chose is a 1-bedroom. That's a no-no. So I'm going to tell y'all, anybody ask me about a 1-bedroom condo, I'm like, nah, don't do it. Well, I'm going to ask you what your plan is. Let me ask you what your plan is first. What's your plan for this condo if you ever have to leave it, move out, whatever? It was centrally located, but the community, even though the location was awesome, the community did not have the amenities that I would have liked to have, particularly with the amount that I paid for an HOA, monthly HOA due. So I think when I first moved in, the dues were $155 a month. By the time I moved out years later, they were like $185. There was the only thing that there were no amenities. There was no pool, there was no clubhouse, there was no playground, there was nothing. It was the buildings, the streets that they maintained, the grass, the trash removal, and the water. That was it. Didn't think about it though, because I was happy with the location and I really liked the layout of the condo. It had vaulted, it checked off a lot of things on my list, but I could have maybe waited and got a better one in that community that was a little bit bigger, or went to another community that had a little bit more amenities. But I did love the condo, so I love the condo. So bought the condo. Shouldn't have bought a 1-bedroom. Also, the condo fees went up little by little every year. The HOA board was a little defunct at the time, so it's definitely important to kind of check into it and see what's going on before you get there and then realize, oh, it is dysfunctional. There was a special assessment that I had to pay almost immediately after moving in. So a special assessment is when the HOA has to assess fees in addition to your monthly fee. So we needed roofs, but the cost of roofs exceeded what was in the budget. So they assessed every unit, I think like $600 or $900 or something that we all had to pay. And I think the old homeowner had already paid a portion of it, and then I was responsible for the last little bit of it. So almost immediately I had to pay the special assessment. And let me say this, when you move into a HOA, and there have been some stories, I can't remember if we posted them or not, but HOAs have a lot of power. So you cannot just go without paying these fees. You have to pay them, or they could foreclose on your house. Just so y'all understand, they could foreclose on your house. You have to pay these fees. So you need to be prepared if you're going to buy a condo that these things could happen. There is another community getting off topic, but there's another community in Uptown Newport News that I've sold in, and they actually had to assess their unit something like $10,000 per unit because of some significant foundation issues in all the buildings. So it definitely does happen. It's not usually something that sneaks up on you. You're going to know about it. But, you know, just be prepared that even if you don't have one when you purchase, while you're an owner, there could be a time when you have a special assessment that comes up for different reasons. So, those are that was my buy. I did, even though I'm like, I shouldn't have bought a 1-bedroom, I did really love that condo. It was a great location. I could walk to city center. City center wasn't even thriving like that back then. The downside to my purchase was, like not even a full year after I moved in, my HVAC stopped working. It was an older HVAC and I knew it was older, but my agent did recommend I get a home warranty, which I did. And they replaced the condenser unit, thank God. So that was definitely clutch because, again, my pay was low. You know, I didn't really have, I had a little bit of savings, but I didn't really have a lot of cushion. So having that warranty was definitely huge, and it helped me a lot. So I'm glad that I got the warranty. I just wish I would have gotten a bigger unit so that when I moved out initially and started renting it, I could have gotten more rent for it. The other thing, 2008 was like right before the market crash, like the real estate market crash. So once the market crashed, the bottom fell out on condo values. So the values went way down. And that tends to happen with condos. I didn't know that. I didn't ask that. And my agent didn't volunteer that information. Probably because there hadn't been a housing market crash in years. Literally years upon years, there hadn't been a housing market crash. Not like what we had seen. So the value of the condo went down so significantly that even if I had wanted to back then, I couldn't sell it. I had to rent it. So that is a warning that I do share with people. If you're thinking about condos, how long are you planning to stay there? What's the exit plan? Because, you know, it is possible that if we have there's always going to be a market shift. So we don't ever want to portray to you guys that it's not, that things can't change and that the market's always going to be good forever. Everything is cyclical. So there's always going to be a market shift. We just don't think that there's a huge crash coming like it was before, like the recession before, but there's always going to be a down, you know, a shift in every market, real estate and or stock market at different times. So just having the foresight to be like, okay, I bought this, what am I going to do with it if the value goes down and I can't sell it because I lose my equity? If the value goes down, what am I going to do? Am I going to rent it? Am I going to get enough rent for it? I want to have you guys go through those the motions of thinking critically like that about your purchase. But I'm happy that I bought when I did. I actually wish if I could go back, I would have bought sooner. I wanted to buy when I was in college, but I was really, really scared about it. And so I decided I was absolutely going to pull the trigger when once I got my job, and I'm happy I did. So that is my story. I hope it was helpful. And then if you guys have questions about it, post it down here in the chat or in the comment section, and I'll get back with you guys. See you later.